It is 12:35, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. This is the Clinical Consultation Network. Thank you for being here, everybody. Of course, you know we do this every Tuesday at 12:30, and we like to have lots of interesting. Today, we have one of the most interesting in the name of Leslie Snyder, who has been a good friend of mine for quite a while. She was also, she and I met one another at the Harold Jordan Center, and so she's been through a lot in the course of her life, and you know, there's a lot I think that people can learn from Leslie, so I'm so happy to have her here today. Also with her is the Executive Director of Support Solutions, Tracy Coffey, who is going to share some of the things that she has done to support Leslie over the course of the last few years, and a lot of the accomplishments that Leslie has made over this course of time. So I'm so happy to have you two here as guests today.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
And as I do each time now, whenever we have a guest, I always start out with this Get Smarticle, and so this is a little bit of a takeoff on the old television show Get Smart. But one of the ways you get smart is really to do a lot of research and to try to understand more about different things that are happening. So I try to take a little bit of time at the beginning and just talk a little bit about something that will help everybody get a little bit smarter. And I do want to encourage everybody as they listen to this presentation about this article, to also get the article and to read it, because there's a lot more good information than what I'm going to share. But this is an article by Sweeney and others from 2018, and it talks about a paradigm shift and talks specifically about relations in trauma-informed mental health services and how important these types of relationships are in supporting people who have experienced trauma in the past. And so there is this great concern in services that we offer people that there are services that cause trauma for others. And so, you know, sometimes we might think we're doing the best that we can, but we actually end up causing more trauma for people who have had some sort of a bad experience in the past. And part of that comes from having these power over relationships. So what we mean by power over, when a person is traumatized, particularly if they've been abused in some fashion, that's a power over relationship. In other words, somebody is exercising power over another person and traumatizing them in some way. And so those power over relationships that exist within our service systems actually cause more trauma for people. Some other ways that re-traumatization may occur: seclusion, restraint, forced medication, body searches, round-the-clock observation. All of these things are things that we may do as a service system that may end up re-traumatizing people who have had trauma in the past. Just a few things here that they mention about trauma-informed, and I added the word competent in here because you don't want to just be informed about trauma services. You also want to be competent at what you're actually doing. So I can know things, but do I implement them? Do I actually carry them out? And so a few of the things they recommend here, first of all, seeing situations through a trauma lens. So and I'm going to get to a question a little bit later that exemplifies this, but basically you want to understand that this is not all just, you know, negative stuff that the person is going through now, but also may be related to things that have happened to them in the past, and to understand what's going on with them right now. Invisible trauma, and then its intersection with systemic trauma. And so trauma seems quite invisible. We don't see it, but it's there. It's having an impact on how a person responds. We want to have sensitive discussions about trauma. You know, and today, Leslie, as we go through our discussion, this is all your information to share. And so you're not being under any pressure, or, you know, there is no reason that you have to share things that you don't want to share today, because it's really important that we're having discussions about trauma, that we leave it to the person to really share the information that they want to share. Trauma-specific support. This is such a key thing because a lot of times in the mental health system in particular, you're going to get one-size-fits-all services. Really, there is a great need for having support that from people who know something about trauma so that they can respond in these ways. Preventing trauma through coercion in service systems. So a lot of times there's coercion, making people do things that they don't want to do. That really it goes back to that re-traumatization I was talking about a moment ago, that it's very important to prevent that type of thing in our service system. That we have to develop trustworthiness and transparency. This is such a key thing, and I'm fearful, especially I talk to police officers a lot, and this idea of trustworthiness is of key importance. If you're a police officer, if you're part of the service system, that we're telling people the truth about things, that we're helping them understand what's going on around them so that they're able to make decisions about how they want to respond and not deceiving them. Because deception in some ways is also a re-traumatization. Collaboration and mutuality. So it's more like, I'm not taking care of you, we're working together to take care of ourselves. That there's more empowerment, choice, control over the person's life. That we respect the person's need for safety and what they see as safe. And this really, this is important because a lot of times people who have experienced a lot of trauma in the past maybe feel more secure in a secure type setting like a hospital. And we have to, I think, step back and really respect that need that they have for safety in those circumstances. This is something else I hope you'll weigh in on a little bit, Leslie. And then survivor partnerships. So having partnerships with other people who have survived a trauma of some kind can also be important. I just want to mention real quickly this idea of lived experiences. Reactions. So here's what SAMHSA said about lived experience in 2014. This is basically stating that reactions to the same events can differ from person to person. The same event may or may not be experienced as traumatic by different people. Trauma must be understood in the context of the individual's experience of the event. No people will experience the exact same thing in the exact same way. And they re-emphasize this point about services re-traumatizing survivors, particularly when they're based on these power over relationships. There's a lack of trust. The re-traumatization in the mental health system can prevent, can prevent good outcomes from being obtained. Just a couple more little points here. Shifting the question. And so when we talk to people who've been traumatized, our question needs to change, because a lot of times we're asking, what's wrong with you? As the question really needs to be, what happened to you? And we need to understand the impact of that on the present situation that we're facing. There also needs to be a lot greater understanding of people who have experienced trauma. And so a lot of people with trauma have different sorts of coping adaptations that they make that may involve self-harm at times. A lot of people who have experienced trauma cut themselves, may hurt themselves in other ways. And we have to really back up from that. And instead of looking at that in a judgmental fashion or only in a self-harm emergency fashion, really trying to understand what the function of that is, because a lot of times it serves a self-soothing function for people or other functions that may not be, related to attention seeking, which is often what people think that it is. So just a few tips, and this came from an article that was referenced in this article from Blanche et al. They were talking about power over relationships. And so they say, in contrast to that, we need to be developing relationships that are non-judgmental, empathic, respectful, and honest. We need to reflect on racial or cultural biases that may create space for people to explore and define their cultural identity. We need to adopt a gender lens in order to create safer environments, develop supports that are responsive to the needs and histories of women and men, using the language of human experience rather than clinical language to enable people to explore the totality of their lives and moving beyond a helping role to mutuality and power sharing. And so there were a couple additional references in there. I've listed those here. That's our Get Smarticle for today. So that gives us a little bit of an entree to discuss a few things, Leslie. And before we get into the deep, dark discussions of everything that we've been through, together and all this, let's talk a little bit about yourselves and just tell us a little bit of who you are and that interesting fact. And so, Leslie, I'm going to start with you. Let you introduce yourself.
My name is Leslie Snyder. I like to write poetry about my life. I like to color. I like to watch scary movies, funny movies. I like to go visit my mom in Alabama. I like to go right up there to see her. I like to go play games at Dave & Buster's. I like to go play bingo if I could.
Yeah. I remember when we went to Chuck E. Cheese that time and played a lot of games.
Yeah, we went to Chuck E. Cheese. Never been there since I'd never been there when I was a kid, so I wanted to go.
Yeah, that was I had a lot of fun there playing those games and everything. Well, thank you for being here.
You squirt the gun in the hole.
Yeah, and make the balloon go up or something. I can't remember exactly what it was.
You squirt the duck in the hole with the water and it squirt up in that little bitty
That was on your birthday.
tunnel.
Say again?
You squirt the duck in the hole. The duck and the water thing, you squirt up in a tunnel and it goes up there. You get points for it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So, were you telling us? That sounds like several. Anything else you want to share as an interesting fact about yourself?
You kind of froze, Bruce. She asked what you said.
Oh, I just said those were some interesting facts you just shared there, but was there a specific interesting fact that you wanted to share beyond what you just told us about?
My interesting fact is that I love getting my hair colored, and nobody probably knows that because I haven't got my hair colored since how many times?
You've had it 4 different colors just in the past 2 months.
I had 4 different colors last 2 months, and I love getting my hair colored and my hair styled. I'm getting weave in my hair. I don't know how it's supposed to turn out with a white person hair, but I hope it turns out very well.
That is one thing I have noticed about you. Every time I see you, you got a different color hair.
I like to be beautiful. I like to dress up.
Yeah, well, and you have beautiful, very nice skin tone and everything. This hair, one time I think I remember correctly that you had pink hair.
Yep, I have pink, and it's got pink stripes in it now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, pink stripes in it. Okay. Well, that's great. So that's kind of like your hobby is changing your hair around, huh?
Yeah, because I got a little different. Yeah, I'm different. Yeah, I'm different.
That's important to you. All right. Well, with you today is Tracy Coffey, Director of Support Solutions in Clarksville. And Tracy, you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Tracy Coffey, Regional Director of the Middle Region for Support Solutions. I've been with them almost 3 years. I met Leslie in January of 2018, and we became fast friends. I have learned probably more about her in this last year than I have since we've been together. She's opened up more, kind of living her best life, I think. So, interesting fact about me is I like country music, and I ran into Aaron Tippin in an elevator, and all I could do was grab his bicep because it was just so big. Couldn't say anything. He said, "Hey, how are you?" And I just stared at him, hanging onto his arm. It's all good though. But I also have Dallas here, who's been her program manager for the last year and a half. Megan, who is a program manager, and she's the one that assisted with transitioning Leslie into the community and is still a part of her circle. We have Sharonda, who used to be our home manager, stepped down, but she still works with Leslie every day. Miss Carlin, who has been with Leslie off and on since she came into services. And then Jennifer is her current home manager, and she's been with her off and on for about a year and a half. So these are all the people that Leslie wanted with her today.
That is you got a whole host of people there. Should I have them introduce themselves too, Tracy, or should we proceed and let them just jump in? Or?
They're all shaking their head no.
Well, we'll see. Leslie, feel free to ask them to add one to you about the stuff. Okay?
You want to share anything?
So, so Leslie, can you start us out by telling us a little bit about the family you grew up in, and basically who they were, and you know, some of the different experiences you had as a youth?
Grew up in
Where you grew up and things that you might have experienced as a youth.
Experience that woman.
As a youth.
What's that mean?
Things that happened, how you made it through it, how you coped.
All right. I grew up in Chattown, Chattanooga. I had a father that was never there. And when he was there, he was emotional abusive to me and sexual abusive to me. He molested me when I was 2 and until I was 6. And I had 2 children by him, and I had 2 children by my brother. And I don't talk to my brother, and my dad's dead. So basically, I hated my father. I just shouldn't hate him, but I did, because he really like emotionally hypnotized me and stuff, and I always done what he wanted me to do and stuff like that. I thought he was doing right when he was doing wrong. So basically, when I got old enough, I just started cutting myself and trying to cry out for help when nobody was helping me at home. And my mother wasn't emotionally there. She was there, but wasn't there in her head.
What do you mean she wasn't emotionally there?
Basically, she was cutting herself and pulling her skin off. When she got upset, she was scratching, pulling her skin off. And she was a simulator too, but she just didn't know what she was doing.
Did she experience trauma in her past as well?
Her father molested her, and she had a baby by her father. That's the reason why she didn't believe me about my dad raped me. So she didn't believe it. So she never believed me because her father did her the same way.
You mentioned that you had started cutting. What was the reason that you started? I mean, how did that? What was that doing?
It was basically making me believe that I had a father that was there, and when he wasn't, I believed that he was my boyfriend all along. When he really was, he was my father. I thought he was my boyfriend or something because he always wanted sex from me. So I thought he was my boyfriend. So I just went with it. I didn't fight no more. I just had no energy to fight.
And at that time, you didn't know any different because that was the circumstance you were in. I mean, it was your life, essentially. You didn't have an awareness of things that were going on outside of your home, or how other relationships or other families interacted, right?
Yeah, and I got beat with water hose and stitching cords by my aunt's boyfriend. So I just had a terrible childhood. Couldn't play with dolls. My dad said I was a CC. He said I'll play with dolls, he will break my arms. So I just couldn't play with dolls. So I basically just was a boy. I was a tomboy when I was little because I couldn't dress like I wanted to dress. I couldn't put earrings, I couldn't put makeup on. My daddy called me a clown. So I just was a boy, basically wore boy clothes and sagging breeches and stuff because I couldn't be a girl. So I just did what he wanted me to do.
Mentioned that you went on at a later time to start developing a behavior of cutting yourself. Was what was the reason that you were cutting? What was the basis for doing that?
You mean, what was the reason for you cutting yourself?
Cutting myself to relieve the pain that I have. I still have flashbacks about my father sometimes when I get depressed. And the cutting was because I wanted to release the pain that I had when I was little. It brings back memories when I look at kids outside and playing and stuff. I think about when I was a kid and makes me depressed because I can't go back to my child and refix it again or have a better family than I did. So I started cutting myself because of the pain.
What does it do for you when you cut yourself?
It releases my pain, and I thought it was my fault that my daddy did that to me. I thought it was all my fault. My mom said, all you are is a mother elfing liar. So, and then I thought it was my fault because it was her husband and he wanted me over her. He didn't want to do nothing with my mama, but he wanted to have something to do with me. So I just started cutting myself because I thought it was all my fault. I thought I was the cause of getting hurt all the time when I was little. And I realized when I got better without SIV, I thought that it wasn't my fault. He was just a bad man. And my circle support have shown me how to help myself a better way than cutting and doing the other stuff I used to do. And they have told me that it's not your fault, never was. He was just not in the right mind. So I just grew from it and just was a better person so I can get better, so I can be on my own. So I'm trying to do that and get myself together.
So one thing that was really important was through this learning process that you've been through is to learn that it wasn't your fault that this happened.
Mm.
Is that right?
What do you say?
He said, is it true that learning that it wasn't your fault has helped you out?
It helped me out, and it made me feel more more relief of what happened. So it makes me feel like I'm a better person than I thought I was back then.
Okay. So you spent a lot of time in the service system, like through, did you go into the service system? Like, what age were you when you went into receiving services through DIDD?
I was in foster care since I was 3 into 6. Like I was back and forth at my parents' home and foster care. I was in foster care because my mama had rats and she had holes in the wall. So the state came and got me from her house because the children welfare was called. And then I got the state's custody when I was 18.
And Leslie, how were those experiences? What was that like for you when you were?
Well, it was scary when I first got into state's custody because I wasn't trusting anybody. I didn't trust nobody. I didn't trust Tracy for the first time or Dallas or even my staff because I was too scared I was in a hole. So I didn't want to break out of my hole because I was scared to get out of it. So I just had to warm up to people.
Did you have any more bad experiences after you went into services? Were there?
I was in Publix and on my own home.
Was it mostly support?
I was in Publix in my own home, and my mama came over to my apartment and got into a fight over my credit card. I had a credit card back then. I messed it up. My mama did, not me. And my mama asked me for my credit card. I only had $50 on my credit card. She run it up to $250. And we got into a fight. She pushed me off the high porch and broke my leg. And my bone was dislocated on my leg. So
Leslie, at that time, was there anything that was helping you?
Bruce, you're kind of breaking up. What was it you said?
I just said that was asked, was there anything that was helping you? during that period?
During that time, was there anything that was helping you?
I was thinking of like what helped me was I believe in God back then. I didn't believe in God now, but I believe in God back then. I always prayed. I always told God to help me through my moments, my days. But now I don't pray. But that's what was keeping me was my grandma. She was deceased. I always talked to her and God, basically. My mother was never a support, and now she wants to be now, but she wasn't back then. She was on drugs and stuff, so she wasn't back then.
And one of the things, Leslie, and this was something I had to learn about you over the course of time, was how important the relationship to your mother is to you. Tell us a little bit more about that relationship with her, and where that was. Obviously, you described some circumstances where it wasn't that good in some ways, but in other ways, you still care for her and love her a lot. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I always say, everybody always told me, if you can't forget, if you can always forget, but you always can forgive, but you never gonna forget. So I forgave my mama because if I don't forgive, how is somebody gonna forgive me in my life? And I just, over times, I just talk to her and a little bit of here, a little bit of there. If she says anything inappropriate, I just let the phone go because she's not supposed to talk to me like that. So I just talk to her when I feel like it. And then she's sick, real bad sick. She has congestion, heart failure, liver cancer, COPD, and emphysema. So I'm trying to get close to her now because I hope I'm not saying cruelty or anything, but she's basically dying and she's health issues wise. She can die in a moment because she's smoking and she has congestion, heart failure, liver cancer. So I'm trying to get close to her because my brother don't give a two craps about her. So I want to be there for her so she can have somebody to lean on. Because she ain't got nobody else. My stepdad.
Yeah, and
What do you say?
I feel you.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Trying to work with the technology. So yeah, so this relationship with your mom is important to you though. And it remains important to you even now.
Yeah. It means a lot to me now because she ain't got nobody to lean on. My stepdaddy is not there half the time. Brother don't care. He's getting married, but he don't care. And she's only got me basically because my daddy don't want to hear bull crap. So I'm here to hear it. So I'm just here.
You visited her a number of times. We'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit. But fast forward a little bit, and then you were admitted to Harold Jordan Center, and you were there. I guess what were you there almost 2 years? Is that about right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was almost there, almost 2 years. I left on the third year. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that experience and what you gained from the time you were at Harold Jordan Center.
A lot of stuff I learned. Oh, I got a lot. I had bad stuff, good stuff. What you want to hear first? What you want to hear first, bad or good?
Let's go with whatever. It's your show here, so you just pick what you'd like, which direction you'd like to go.
Well, I had a good time out there, and besides the point, people was whooping my ass. So basically, I got whooped every day. Time to turn around by a man that loved me. He wanted to whoop my butt too at the same time.
Had some conflicts with some other people.
But overall,
Go ahead.
I had a good time. I learned how to cope with my attitude, cope with my anger a little bit. And we went to groups about self-harm groups. We went to relation groups, stuff like that, and a lot of stuff I learned from it.
Did you come off medication?
Yep, and I came off my medication, and I was so proud of myself. I came off of it. I told my doctor that I don't want to be on it, and he said, I don't see a point of you being on it anyway. So I got off medication. I got to drink for the first time.
That's right. Dr. Schuler, he was your
Yeah.
while you were there. And so during that period of time, you you had been on some medications when you came in, and then after discussing it with him, he ended up validating your goals in that and just stopped prescribing medications for you. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so how did that make you feel when he did that? What was your reaction to that?
I would said, oh yeah, I'll get off of it because I'm tired of being on it. And I was hoping, because it was always making me drowsy and tired and not wanting to do nothing. So I just told him it wasn't doing nothing for me. It was making me tired and sleepy all the time, drooling out the mouth and stuff sometimes. But I get overwhelmed, I drool. So I got tired of drooling and sleepy and tired. So I told him I didn't want to be on it because it was helpful without being on it, then on it. And been off
You
of
had
it.
good reasons. You had good reasons for not wanting to be on it at that time. And he basically said, I believe you. I'm with you on this. I accept that from you. Right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And, this is an important aspect of everything that we're trying to do to support people is really to be able to validate judgments that you're making. And that's a judgment that every person makes for themselves, is whether or not they're going to take medication or not. And so the fact that you gave him that input and that input was respected, I think is a really key part. It may just be one of those minor things, but it's a key part of what I think has helped you make some of the progress that you've made today.
Yeah.
And so tell us about some other things that happened while you were at Harold Jordan Center. I'm mostly thinking about the positive kind of accomplishment things.
I had a birthday party there and Christmas party there. And then I met some cool friends over there. And we had a good time playing basketball outside as a group and stuff like that, eating, I guess, okay food. But overall, I loved it there. I wanted to go back when I got upset about 2 years ago. I wanted to go back, but I didn't get to. But that is another story.
What made you want to go back?
Because I miss my family over there. Miss Linda. I miss a lot of people over there, my pals. So I wish I just go back and just be there like a vacationer kind of thing. Besides going to the mental hospital, I would love to go there where my friends are so I can have a cool sleepover or something.
Well, that's interesting too, because you used to also, at a period, there was a time where you were going to the hospital a lot. Was there something about the hospital that was like drawing you there during those times?
I wanted to get away from chaos and stuff like that, and I wanted to be sleeping and not have nobody up my butt every day. That's why I wanted to go there because at Middle Tennessee or somewhere like that, they don't be up your tail like that. They just check on you every hour, every 2 hours, and see how you're doing. But they don't bother me over there, and that's why I wanted to go back. Not Middle Tennessee, but West Wind. West Wind was awesome. They let you smoke. They let you eat what you want to eat. Staff will bring you snacks. Staff will bring you cigarettes. You don't got none, they'll buy you some. And I loved it over there because I had cool friends.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
And I wanted a
good.
vacation.
That's good to understand all that. So, so then, let's see. I'm gonna just mention one thing I remember a lot about the time you were at HJC, because I was there a lot during that period, and that one of the things was that you kept a journal, and you kept some books of different. You wrote things down in a journal and that sort of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I write poetry when I get upset. I write how I feel, what day I'm having, or what's been bothering me, and I just write down and write poetry in the middle of it, like write my life down, how I'm feeling in this poetry.
Yeah, you wrote some great poems too. I wish I'd have thought to ask you to bring one to share with us.
I was thinking about it, but I said they don't want to hear that.
Oh, yeah, I would love to hear one of your poems today, but you did write some really great poems and so insightful about your prior history. What I mean by that is it showed you understood what had happened to you and how you had brought it to a point now that you were trying to become stronger and better as a result of it. I saw that in your poetry.
Yeah,
So,
I got about 7 books at home full of poetry I wrote already. And I'm working on another book now.
the other thing I can remember at HJC was times where, you and I would just sit down and have very long conversations about things. And it would be, full of your expression about different things that were happening to you now and relating that back to your past. Do you remember all that? Do you remember us having some of those conversations while we were
Yeah,
at
because
HJC?
it was sometimes we go in your office or we go in the cafeteria with nobody around.
Yeah. And sometimes we'd even have a staff member that was sitting there with us that was listening in, somebody you trusted. And, that there would be just long, long, long conversations that we
Yeah, I
would
love
have.
to talk too. So that's what it is.
Just, and I wonder if you see, like, for a person who's experienced some of the trauma that you've experienced in the past, how important that is to be able to talk to somebody about those things that have happened and to be able to just have a lot of conversation and discussion about it.
Yeah. Well, when CB was around, I usually talk to her all the time about my problems and stuff, and she would talk to me about hers. And it was just chill. Sorry, bring her up. I
Sharon,
just wanted to tell them that. Yeah, I had a close friend, but she's still in my heart. Still talk to her sometimes. But I have Tracy to lean on now in Dallas, and Jennifer and Megan, and
yeah.
you.
So then there was a time where you left Harold Jordan Center. Now tell me about the time when you left Harold Jordan Center. How did that feel when you were leaving?
I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. I was crying. I didn't want to leave. And then when I left, I cried and didn't want to leave. I was standing there for almost an hour before I left, crying because I didn't want to leave my family I left behind. And then I said, when I get home, we're going to have to stop by the gas station. Do I got some money in there? I'm going to have to give me a pack of cigarettes.
Okay. So you started to recognize there were some advantages of not being at Harold Jordan Center anymore, but it was a tough thing for you to leave there. That's what I hear you saying.
It was a tough thing because I've been there for a long time. I don't know how long I've been there.
It was close to 2 years, wasn't it?
I think it was a little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years. I think I was there in 2016 because I made a Christmas stocking with 2016 on it from there. I think I
Okay.
was there for over a little over 2 years.
And she moved
It
in
was a good spot.
August 17th of 2018, I think.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I feel like I'm working with
Yeah.
And so then you went to Support Solutions and you met Tracy there. He was the
Yeah.
director. And so tell us a little bit about what it's been like since you went to Support Solutions. Let's see, that's been at least 2 years ago now, right?
Yep.
What's
But
it been like? Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just saying something I forgot. I'm sorry.
How's it been since you've been
No,
with?
I was just asking you what it's been like at Support Solutions since you've been there.
Oh, it was been wonderful. So when I got here, I didn't trust nobody. I was just scared because I was in a new place. But I didn't take long to warm up to anybody. And Sports Solutions has been my on my we call that one hand man or we do
Right hand man.
But yeah, Sports Solutions has always been my right hand man when I always needed help. And all you could do is make one phone call to Dallas. And Dallas always picks that phone or Tracy. And they always been there for me when I needed them the most. When I needed somebody to talk to, they was always there for me.
So are they basically on call for you? Like if you need to talk to somebody, you can give them a call and talk to them?
Yeah, because I talk to them sometimes. I know they're busy a lot because they're busy women. So I just basically just call them when I can. When I have a concern or something, I call Dallas. If I have a concern, I call Q or Miss Tracy. Or I call Jennifer if she knows something I don't.
She knows the phone tree. She starts with Jennifer. Jennifer doesn't know. She goes to Dallas. If Dallas doesn't know, she comes to me. So
Oh,
she keeps us all in check
And then I know before they know.
most
you got a
times.
great support network. You talked about trust. How was that trust developed between you and the staff at Support Solutions?
I don't trust.
How have you been able to trust your staff and us? What makes you trust us?
Well, sometimes you got to trust a little few people. You can't trust everybody now. But
Okay.
you can't be friends with everybody because they go behind your back and talk about you. You know what I'm saying? But basically, you got to trust a few that you know that's gonna be there. So I know one that's gonna be there for me. It's 4 people. That's Dallas, Tracy, Jennifer, and Megan. And I know that they wouldn't talk about my information that I tell them unless it's self-harm issues. But I haven't talked about that. But I don't think that basically they will misuse me or anything. That's why I trust them because I know they're
Yeah.
gonna be there no matter what. If I pee them off or cuss them out, they know that I'm having a little moment.
So give you your space in those
They
times?
give me my space and they let me vent, they let me cool off, and then I come back and say, you know what, I just don't know what got in my body, but something did. And I say, devil, get off of me. That's a song too, devil, get off of me.
Yeah. And sometimes that feeling that, that getting emotionally upset like that, that's very difficult for you to, it takes some time for you to control that.
Yeah, and then I got anger issues, so try to work on myself, my anger, and my mouth because I got a potty mouth.
Well, that's, you're not the only one. So, that's, yeah. And you have made a lot of accomplishments now since you've been at Support Solutions. Talk a little bit about some of your accomplishments.
Well, I've been doing good since April the 14th of this year or last year.
Last year, April was the last time you inserted.
Yeah, last time I self-harm was last year, April the 14th, and I haven't done it since then. And I haven't done the other since May the 15th. I think Jennifer said May the 15th.
Was it May 15th?
Was it? Because she said it was after when she went off for her birthday.
Okay.
It was been May the 15th since I haven't done insertion in a year and 6 months.
Wow. And this had been something that I can recall was happening maybe every 10 or 15 days during the time that you were at Harold Jordan Center. But now it's really, you've been able to manage more effectively since you have gotten out and gotten a little bit more experience, had that more trusting relationship with people going forward. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you can correct me if I say the wrong thing, by the way. You know that, right? So,
Yeah.
Tracy, do you want to say anything about what it's been like working with Leslie and, different things that you've seen as important in this relationship?
Do you know when she first moved out, she put us through the ringer from August 15th until probably around February of the following year. I can't tell you how many ER visits, we lost track of them. But you don't feel too good when the doctor calls you and tells you that they have removed 5 objects and she felt like she had hit the lottery and the objects weren't small objects. So basically, we just kind of gave her free access to those of us that she felt like she trusted. And I know sometimes there's days where we have phone calls 10, 12, 13 times a day. We know it's a bad day. But for the most part, she's had consistent staff who care about her. We know Leslie well enough to know if she tells us the staff needs to leave the home, we don't put the staff back in the home. And we just, allow her to tell us what she wants to do with her day, when she wants to visit her mom, when she wants to go out, when she doesn't. We just help her live her best life. And I think that's what she's been doing the last 16 to 17 months.
Yeah, you mentioned that about Leslie's mom. And Leslie, I was going to share, when we first started working together, I had kind of come to the conclusion that it wasn't a great thing for you to be too involved with your mom, because it was, it could be a really contentious relationship. And I spent some time trying to steer you in a different direction from that. But I learned over the course of time that this is a very important relationship to you. And one of the things I really, had to grow to learn was that we had to facilitate that relationship for you in some manner, and that it had to be on your terms, how that was handled. And it seems like Support Solutions has really doubled down on that and helped you get in contact with your mom. And that this has really been, has that been a part of your improvement, do you think?
Do you think
Is having that role?
it's helped you improve?
Yeah, because my mama says she's proud of me, and I get to see her more, so she's more happy, and it makes me happy because we're two peas in a pot. So basically, when she feels like she's upset, I feel like I'm getting upset because she's in my heart, and we both got a heart inside of our heart with a key in it. So when she's upset, I get upset because we're close together.
And you're going
Right.
now?
Once a month, does?
Yeah, she goes about once a month.
Every 4 to 6 weeks. Every month, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm so glad you've been able to reconnect with her in that way, and that you've been able to kind of put it all in context and understand everything about your relationship with her that really helps you now. So that's really great. I just wanted to point out a couple things, and if people have questions, please go ahead and enter them in the chat box or get ready to unmute here in just a second. But I wanted to mention just a few things about the supports that have been provided for you there at Support Solutions. So it definitely looks like they've been seeing things through the trauma lens and understanding that was really at the basis a lot of the self-harm that you were doing, that there was, and that there was, that they were being very sensitive in their discussions about trauma with you and understanding the importance of that and how, it's how you were responding now, that they gave you trauma-specific support. And this idea of having people on call to talk to you in those circumstances is a really important part of a program like that. The trustworthiness, the transparency part of it is something that people who've had trauma must have in order to make the type of improvement that you've had. And giving you more empowerment, choice, and control over things, I think all of those things have really resulted in a much better life for you. It seems to me, to correct me if I'm misinterpreting.
Do you feel like you have a much
Is your life a lot better?
Yeah, I have a better life now. My life is way heck of a lot better than it used to, because when I first got in the company, I didn't have that much staff to link to or trust, because there was one staff would hit, rip back her fist and tell me, I ain't scared of you, I'll hit you. So they discoloted, they just took care of that, got her out. And then after my staff that I know that's been nice to me and I've been nice to them, I haven't had any more trouble, and my life has been better, a heck of a lot better than it used to.
Well, we got one comment down here. Janet Schaus has said that she really thanks you for your willingness to share your story and your progress. And she says you've made an amazing journey.
That's awesome. Tell her thank you.
And then Christy Tankersley says, "You're a courageous young woman. Keep up the hard work."
Thank
And
you.
get encouragement here, I think, from some of our audience members to keep it up and keep working at it. I know, one of the phrases that I generally use just about every time we talk, Leslie, is that I know you're doing the best that you can. And I think it's important to recognize all the great things that you've been doing and really trying to work forward and to improve your life. And I'm so happy for everything that has happened with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Tracy, want to congratulate you and your agency on the great supports that you're providing in this circumstance and understanding more about Leslie's history and its impact.
Thank you. She has educated us well.
Well, yeah, she's been definitely an educator, that's for sure. I've learned a lot from you too, Leslie, and I hope that we'll continue to be friends for many years to come. And so I appreciate you coming on today and sharing everything and telling us, being very honest and telling us everything that's gone on with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being a daddy figure for me. I know you can't be my dad, but you're like a daddy figure for me. Thank you. I appreciate you being that for me.
Likewise. And look, I care a lot about you, and I've been actually waiting for this day when we were going to be able to talk on the CCN about you. So thank you so much for coming on, Tracy. Thank you for coming on. Thank all your staff there.
Thank y'all so much. Toodles.
Anybody want to say anything?
Anybody want to say anything?
Bye.
They said bye.
They're all good?
Toodles.
Okay. Well, listen, this is the Clinical Consultation Network. We do this every week. We like that. You're probably one of the most interesting guests we've ever had on here, so I'm really thankful that you
Wow,
are.
you did good, you guys.
But we've had a lot of great guests. I want to, in fairness, we've had a lot of great guests, and I want to invite you, Tracy, and all your staff to tune in with us anytime. We do this every Tuesday at 12:30. And so we'd like to have as many people as we can to join us for these. And so thank you again for being here. We'll do this again next week, everybody. Look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.